Hello everyone, Michael Pugliese coming here to you again. I'm here with Caitlin Macy. We are going to be demonstrating a more advanced protocol for our peeling, a combination of our enzyme and also one of our peels, the Coco enzyme and our 30% lactic acid. Now, you can't combine all of our peel protocols, but this one absolutely can get more of an enhancement of our results. We're going to be using the Coco enzyme and our 30% lactic acid peel. Now, we like to use the enzyme and the lactic acid peels because the lactic acids are in a gel base. So they allow for less of a deeper penetration versus some of the other peels that we've discussed, which are our ethanol-based peels. These are again designed to sit more closer to the surface of the skin and break down protein layer by layer by layer versus penetrate into the sebaceous follicle and break down more stratum corneum all at once. So it does two things. We get the benefits of mild exfoliation from the enzyme and a little bit more of an enhanced efficacy from the individual properties of the acids themselves. And as we know, lactic acid helps to stimulate natural moisturizing factors in the skin, specifically what are called glycosaminoglycans. They also function as skin lighteners, tyrosinase inhibitors, so there are some really great enhanced results that we can get by combining these two individual treatment modalities. We're going to start with a pre-cleanse utilizing our vitamin veil cleanser. It's a combination of a number of different low molecular weight oils, in particular soybean oil, which is the base. Soybean oils contain high concentrations that are referred to as enzyme modulating peptides, so they have great anti-aging benefits, inherent anti-aging benefits to them. They can help to inhibit the destruction of collagen, but really what they're designed to do here is to help to solubilize those mineral makeups. So if you have a client that's coming in who has a significant amount of makeup on the surface, the foaming surfactants don't always cut that, so we can do a pre-cleanse with this type of material that's going to really help to get rid of a lot of that makeup buildup. Now, we're not going to be getting close to the eyes here, but we are going to be doing some covering of the eyes to make sure we avoid getting any product, particularly the acids, anywhere near the ocular area. Now, once we've done a light removal with the vitamin veil, we're then going to be following up with one of the foaming surfactants to again help to remove the oil of the cleanser from the surface of the skin. Now, almost all of our treatment protocols begin with either the lipid replacing cleansing gel or the micro exfoliating honey cleanser. The lipid replacing cleansing gel is definitely the most popular. It's the easiest to use in the treatment room, comes with a nice pump. So comes out relatively easily and really helps to cut any of the surface oil, but without being too overly aggressive. It is a sulfate-free surfactant blend, so it really helps with any type of skin sensitivity, skin condition, and does have a very broad application for just about any client that's coming in to receive a treatment. Now you can use towels or 4x4s to remove the cleanser, whatever your preference is. We like to use 4x4s, the cotton, because they're a little bit softer and really help to maintain the integrity of the skin overall, because again, we're going to be doing some moderate exfoliation here, nothing too overly aggressive. The client's going to be able to go back to the regular home care regimen the very next day. There's not a whole lot of extreme post-care that's required for this particular protocol. Of course, we do have the more aggressive peels that we've covered that definitely require some more specific home care that requires more occlusion and more protection, but she's going to be able to go back to her regular home care protocol the very next day. Okay, so again, we're going to start with the application of the Coco enzyme. It's going to go on for about the initial application here. We're going to stick with about 4 to 5 minutes. Then we're going to remove that and then apply the peel for about 5 minutes as well. We can go a little bit longer once we've got a determination of how this client's skin is going to respond to this particular combination of treatments, and we want to make sure that we're building up to just the peels by themselves before we go to this more advanced protocol of combining these two individual treatment modalities. The Coco enzyme is great as a standalone treatment. Of course, most of the peels work well as standalone treatments, but as we start to get a little bit more advanced, this is where we can start to blend these two applications together. And as you can see, Caitlin's not too heavy with her application. You want to make sure that you've got good even coverage and even consistency. You don't want to be too overly aggressive with your application, but as long as the skin is completely covered, we know that those enzymes are going to work and they're going to help to digest those surface proteins when it comes time to applying the peels immediately following. So the key, of course, is to keeping these enzymes wet. We want to make sure that they stay moist throughout the treatment. If they start to dry out, they're going to lose the overall activity. Caitlin's applying the cotton 4x4s over the face before she applies the towel. The towel will help to maintain the heat and the moisture, but the cotton is going to ensure protecting the towels, because if you have the towels go directly over the enzymes, they can have a tendency to gunk up the towels, make them a little bit more messy. But if you apply the cotton first, it helps to keep them fresh so that they don't stain the towels. Now, when it comes to keeping the enzymes wet and also a little bit warm, the heat will accelerate the activity of the enzymes. So sometimes a steamer is appropriate. Unfortunately, most steamers don't really get even distribution of heat and moisture onto the surface of the skin. So what we like to do is apply the towel first, then have the steamer over the top of the skin, because if you're just using the steamer, it'll have a tendency to hit more directly on one angle on the surface of the skin versus the other, so you may have a little bit more activity on one side versus the other. So by applying the towel, you're going to get a little bit more even distribution, and then you can apply the steamer right over the top of the towel. Now, before you apply the acids, you want to take a dry 4x4 and just kind of pat the client's skin dry, making sure that you absorb as much moisture as possible. You don't want to put acids directly onto the surface of wet skin. It has a tendency to heat up a little bit more, may cause a little bit more discomfort, even though these are considered to be a less aggressive type of acid. When you have acids and water mixed together, oftentimes it can generate heat, particularly when it's already applied to the surface of the skin. So just ensuring that the client's skin is a little bit more dry, not wet and not damp, is going to ensure that they have a little bit more comfort and a much better experience and a much better treatment. Now, Caitlin's also going to be applying some eye pads to ensure overall protection. These are specialty pads that we get from a medical supply company. However, you can use 4x4s. Some clients will opt to wet the 4x4s and put them over the eyes, but again, be very cautious that they're not overly wet, that they're not going to drip and mix, of course, with the acids, because as I mentioned, the two of them together can cause undue heat and discomfort. Now, Caitlin's going to be applying some gloves for this treatment, and each of our bottles, it's a 2-ounce bottle that comes with the treatment, and you can usually get about anywhere from 20 to 25 treatments conservatively out of each bottle. So depending on what your surface area that you're applying to, it's a fantastic return on investment for the wholesale client. Now, as you can see here, Caitlin's applying the peel, and you'll see that the gel-based peels that we offer, that come in multiple concentrations. We have a 30% lactic, a 35, and a 45. We also have combinations of lactic and salicylic together, 30% lactic with a 10% salicylic, and a 40% lactic with a 15% salicylic. Now, these are all in what are called polyethylene glycol base. They're relatively inert materials. You see them oftentimes in leave-on cosmetics, but they come in different molecular weights. This one is in a very high molecular weight, And the purpose here is that it's going to sit on the surface of the skin. And you can see here that Caitlin's kind of overlapping with her application, which is fine because this is not ethanol. This is more of an ethanol alternative. So you don't have to worry about reapplying and going over the areas, because this is not really going to penetrate deeply into the skin. It will sit on the surface and break down that protein layer by layer by layer. So you have to ensure that at the end of the treatment, you're removing and neutralizing the product. However, over application is not really going to be an issue. Now at room temperature, once it's applied to the surface of the skin, you may see it start to spread around a little bit. And you can see that Caitlin's kind of very gently just manipulating the product ever so slightly to get good even coverage. She's applying it to the corners of the nose, moving it around on the surface of the forehead as well. And what this does is it allows it to penetrate a little bit deeper into the skin. Now at this point, the client is not really experiencing a whole lot of sensation, probably a little bit of picking, possibly even a little bit of an itching sensation, but that again is due to the fact that it's not really penetrating too deeply into the skin. Now, we would never do this with an ethanol-based peel. You're simply applying the product, letting it penetrate through the sebaceous follicle, break down the protein, whereas here again, it's really sitting close to the surface of the skin. Now, it's all about timing with the gel-based peels. So we can start with, conservatively here, about 5 minutes. We can leave these on upwards of about 12 to 15 minutes, depending on how many times we've worked with this client's skin and how they've responded to the previous treatments. Now we want to check in with her. How's it feel so far?
I don't feel anything.
Doesn't feel anything. So scale of 1 to 10, it would be a
1.
A 1. Okay, good. So as I mentioned, relatively low sensation, no real discomfort for the client. And this is the bonus here, is that we are using 30% alpha hydroxy acid, lactic acid, but there's no real discomfort here. If we were to use 30% in an ethanol base, she would be experiencing a much different sensation. It has everything to do with the carrier system of this particular peel. And we've already done an enzyme exfoliation as well. Now, when it comes to the removal of the product, what we're actually going to be doing here is simply just kind of blotting the area. Again, not a whole lot of aggressive wiping, just kind of getting the excess off the surface of the skin, because we're going to next be neutralizing with the PK Peel neutralizing spray. So you just want to be sure that you're getting the excess product off the surface of the skin. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the heat from the temperature of the face is going to cause a little bit of dissipation or movement of the peel itself. However, when it comes to removal, just kind of blotting the surface of the skin is going to allow for a significant amount of absorption. Now Caitlin's applying the PK Peel neutralizing spray, and the client may experience just a little bit of heat here because it is a sodium bicarb based solution, but it's solubilized in water. So clients may feel that warm up just a little bit. But again, the idea here is that this is neutralizing the acid that's on the surface of the skin. And that's critical for these gel-based peels. You absolutely must neutralize these particular peels. Otherwise, they definitely remain active as long as they're on the surface of the skin. So you neutralize first, then you remove, and then we're going to follow that up with a second neutralizing spray. And again, she's hitting all areas of the face, and she's also putting a little bit in her hand and massaging in those areas where the peel has a tendency to mobilize and travel a little bit, particularly the corners of the nose, a little bit closer. It can actually slide down the neck. So she's being very diligent about where the peel may have traveled during the treatment. After step number 2, the second neutralizing spray, we're going to remove with wet 4x4s, and then we're going to apply a third neutralizing spray, and then remove with wet 4x4s once again. So we actually take it through 3 neutralizing steps. The first one, we're blotting dry and removing the excess peel. Then first neutralizing spray, remove with wet 4x4s, neutralizing again, removing with wet 4x4s once again, and then that third neutralizing step before we apply the vitamin C reversal serum. Now, we've got a few finishing products that we're going to be using here. She's going to use the vitamin C reversal serum. Again, we are only going to be using the vitamin C from the Circadia line. It is a magnesium ascorbyl phosphate, both very stable and also very tolerable. We don't want to use a different type of vitamin C, again, particularly ascorbic acid, because it can be a bit irritating on a freshly exfoliated skin at a high concentration. Magnesium ascorbyl phosphate is recognized for not only its tolerability, but also its stability in a package as well. She's also going to be finishing with the post-peel balm. A post-peel again helps to maintain the overall recovery of the surface of the skin. It's a blend of squalane butter, meadow foam butter, and also royal jelly. So it helps to replace some of the hydration after this type of exfoliation. And then of course, because we've exfoliated the skin, we need to ensure that we've got good photo protection. So we're going to be using a light day sunscreen SPF 37. It's broad spectrum. So it's going to be covering from UVB and UVA and also all kinds of other environmental stressors. We've got some great next generation antioxidants that are in the product as well. And you are all finished. How does that feel?
It was amazing.
Feels fantastic. Skin looks wonderful. And again, when she came in, a couple of her concerns were some vascularity. I noticed during the consultation that she had a little bit of pigment, but of course lactic acid, great for helping to treat hyperpigmentation. The enzymes are going to remove some of that surface hyperpigmentation by getting rid of those keratinocytes at the surface of the skin that are holding that melanin. So this was a fantastic treatment for her, and her skin is just looking wonderful. All right, well, thank you so much for being a lovely model. Appreciate it. Looks great. Thank you.